Hey everybody, it's Tuesday, it's 3 o'clock. That means it's Tech Tuesday. Today I am going to be talking about TruVizion Diagnostics and specifically the port diagnostics features that are in that application. I'll be right back. Thanks for joining me. Again, I'm Rick Uzzi, VP here at Zquorum, and TruVizion Diagnostics is a cross-platform application that we have that works with both DOCSIS networks and then also fiber networks. This would be if you've got broadband customers that you are servicing, and it's an application that can look at the access equipment, for example, the CMTS or the OLT, as well as the CPE that it would be in the customer's home. That would be cable modems or ONTs. And today we're going to be looking at the port diagnostics that you would have in a DOCSIS plant. So I will bring up here some screens in TruVizion just so you can see what's available there. So what we're looking at here, this is actually the cable modem diagnostic screen for TruVizion, where you're looking at a customer's device in their home. This is actually a demo database that we're using. So this is a real CMTS that we're looking at, and it's real customer devices. What is not real is the customer's name, and the address is not where the device actually is located. These are just addresses in our hometown of Alpharetta here in Georgia. And then we've got fake names in there. But everything else that's being reported here is specifically from a cable modem on this plant. Another thing that's not quite right here is you see 3 devices, and there's really only one generally in each home. But in this case, because it's a demo database, we have this name and address associated with a couple of different devices. So this was back, I pulled this up a little over an hour ago. Looks like about 1:54 Eastern time. And I just left it up here because I haven't refreshed it yet because I thought it was interesting. So when you're looking at the customer screen, the diagnostic screen, you see here that we've got a lot of information that would be very helpful for a call center representative, for example, somebody that's diagnosing a specific issue. And we've got signal quality up here, and then down below here we've got modem port status. And the reason we do this is so that we can provide maybe a hint as to whether this issue is related to this particular customer or the issues related to this particular customer, or something that's maybe further out in the plant, like associated with the port that customer is on. In this case, I noticed that there were some issues up here, as well as some uncorrectable code word errors right here that are in the red. And then also, as we look down here, what we're showing on this is all customer-related data specific to this modem. This is data related to the channel that the customer is connected to. So you see this is the upstream channel. This is one of the upstream channels. This is 10/10.0. And then we've got what we're trying to show here is some aggregate information that tries to let you know if there's information that would be specific to this channel, where if there were unusual number of offline modems or ranging modems, for example. So you can see those figures here. Then if there are code word errors, or if average SNR, upstream SNR is an issue, that would show up here. If there's a lot of bandwidth use on this channel, that would show here. And you can see that these colors change if there's an issue. So these numbers would be yellow or red if there were a problem, and then same thing here. If this got into the, you see yellow and red up here, if this got in the yellow or red stage on bandwidth use or average SNR here, signal to noise ratio, that would be yellow or red. And then we do see that there's red here because we've got upstream code word errors. And you can switch from one channel to the other right here. And when I looked at 10.11, it looked very similar. So I'm going to refresh this now and see if anything's changed. So now I'm going to hit the little refresh button up here. You can set this, by the way, to auto update if you wanted to, and it will update every minute or so. But I don't like to do that if I'm looking at something, so I'm just going to, I think the default is off on that. So you can see as I clear that, I still got some, actually the code word errors that I was seeing right here have disappeared. So those were likely related to the channel, I would think, because they were showing up at the same time as that. We still have some issues here with transmit power and SNR on both channels. If I click over to the other channel here, there's some code word errors, but they're not in the red. So, and then it's 0 here on that, and you can see the change there. So this again is meant so that for the support person, if they're seeing some issues down here in the channel, then they know they can maybe escalate that to somebody in the NOC or in the plant side to take a look at that, if they have this customer calling in, that it may not be just specifically restricted to that customer. That's the point of that. And the other thing that you can do on any of these, anytime that you see a channel label like this, you can click in and view those. I can do that from here, for example, or I can do it from here if I wanted to look at it there. And what that's going to show you when you do that is the charts, the historical charts that go along with that channel. So when I click that first channel that I was looking at here, what you get is you've got your upstream RF levels, your average upstream SNR, bandwidth use on that channel, and then you've got your modem status, which is going to show you your online and offline modems and attempting modems, and then you've got your code word errors here, and you can look at correctable and uncorrectable code word errors. So going back to the top here, what we're doing is we're aggregating data from all of the modems on this channel to again try to determine if the channel is having an issue, if there's an unusual number of modems that are acting the same way. For example, if this is showing me what devices have issues related to transmit power, receive power, and SNR. So these percentages are not, that's related to the number of devices on the channel that are experiencing problems. So you can see as I go here, there's not that many. There's only 4 with transmit power. There's 0 with receive power, it looks like, for the most part. There's a 1 there. And then most of the issues are SNR. And we see that quite often, that you've got signal-to-noise ratio where that is most of the issues. And then we've got total. Now we can't really see, it's interesting because you can't see the SNR line because the total is covering that because, again, most of the issues are SNR. I can uncheck the total, and then I see my SNR line is pretty much following the total line because of the fact that that's pretty much everything that's going on there. There's not much going on these others. So if I take off the total, and then I take off SNR, then I get a better picture of what my transmit power and receive power look like as far as how they're going up and down, but they're not going up and down much. Again, it's going from 4 to 5. Not much difference there as I go through those. So you can always take off these lines if you want to look underneath those. And you've got value and percent also that you can switch to here. Again, when there's not much change when I do that because for the most part, the total's going to be 100%, and the SNR is pretty much 99 to 100% of the total, so it doesn't really change much when I make that change from value to percent there. Then you've got your upstream SNR and what's going on in that, and you can see kind of the ups and downs on that. You've got your bandwidth use, and you can see that there's nothing significant going on there as far as any issues. And this is nice to have here. You get your online, offline, and attempting. Again, this is a total of modems, so you have your value in percent again, and once again, there's not much change. I mean, the lines change a little bit, but for the most part, all the modems are online, and there's very few that are offline or attempting. So obviously, if you're having an issue, you would see that you might have a lot of modems offline on this channel, and you could see when that was taking place. So we've got a lot of historical data here. And then what we were seeing, before I refresh that screen, we were seeing some code word errors, and you can see that right here, actually, that we had a period where the code word errors had escalated, and they've dropped back down. So we've gotten up to, at this point, looks like you can see your percentages there and the high point that we were having on correctable and uncorrectable code word errors. And of course, if you are having lots of correctable code word errors, that's a good leading indicator that you're going to have some uncorrectable code word errors. The more correctable code word errors you have, then you're going to have more uncorrectables. When you start to have those uncorrectables is when you start to have some performance issues and customers start to realize that something's going on there because the errors can't be corrected through error checking. And they just have to be dropped on the floor. And you start, especially for things like voice and video, those kinds of things, you're going to start to see issues. Maybe have, if you're speaking to somebody on the phone on a voice call, you start to get some drops, that kind of thing on some of the words. Now, this is looking at, we always default to a 24-hour period on these charts, so you could look at 7 days, 30 days, 90 days. For example, I can click 7 days and see what's been going on during that period, and you can see a little bit more change, and you see something was going on here where we had a big dip in the signal-to-noise ratio here, and you can see again we had a period of very high code errors. Let's see, does that correspond to the same time? That's about 2200, and that's about 2200. So you can see something was going on here, probably this, which caused this. I don't know if there was a big, doesn't look like there was a big corresponding drop. You went from 1 offline to 3, and then kind of back up again. So you can see for that period of time that there were some issues. You can drill in even further. So that's 7 days. You go all the way to 90 days. You wanted to look at really long-term trends, and you can see during that time there were some periods where you had these lines of online and offline modems kind of cross there, or increase significantly, and that's going to be taking place at various times. It could be maintenance, so we don't know what's going on there. You've got, again, some peaks of code word errors. That's probably what we were looking at there most recently. Yeah, that would be most recently, that big peak that I saw in the 7-day period. So that's helpful, and you can always switch back by just going here. And the other thing you can do is if you want to zero in on a particular area, you can always just drag and drop. So I'm going to click right here. Let's say if I want to see this particular area, and I go right there, and all of my charts will adjust for that. And then you'll see your custom period that you selected here. September 14th from 10:30 to 15:11 is basically what I'm looking at here. To go back, again, you can just click. You can actually click in your browser, I think, the refresh, which I don't have showing right here, or you can click your 24 hours to do that. So I am going to click back to go back to this screen. So again, we can look at this and just see what's going on. Take a moment to load. A little longer than usual, actually. And this is usually the last data because we're collecting lots of information on lots of channels. So then this loads up again here. So again, we don't have any code word errors showing up right at the moment, but we did see that period of about a little over an hour ago where we had some actually showing up and showing up here in this panel as well. So again, you can click on here or here, and then if you want to look at downstream channels, you can get the same kind of information if you click on those anywhere that you see them in the application. So I can click, for example, on, looks like there's no issues on any downstream channels, but I'll just click this first one here. And you're going to see the same types of charts. Again, you've got receive power and SNR on this, and you've got your total. And you've got same thing here, SNR, bandwidth. You've got your online, offline attempting, and then we've got correctable and uncorrectable code word errors. And it looks like we've got kind of a lot of up and down going on in that, varying on these at various times. And right now, looks like we've got some, but they're not up to a point right now where they're causing a problem. Again, I can go out 7 days and see what it's looked like over the last 7 days, which this is pretty interesting. So it looks like things were not too severe, and then they kind of bumped up right here at this point. So it's always good to be able to go back and compare things. You could maybe go back and see, what did we do? Did we do anything on the plant on this particular day on September 12th around 2 p.m., I guess that would be? That would have caused that, or was there something going on? Did a storm come through? You can always look at that. You've got, again, maybe a similar thing here where you've got, yep, 2200 and 4 o'clock. That would be the same thing, wouldn't it? I don't know why that would be 4 and 2200 here, but that may be something. But we do see that we've got a continued elevated amount right there. And if I go 30 days out, looks like we had a period there. And another period here. So again, we've got that historical information on this one downstream channel. I can go back. And by the way, if you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the chat on YouTube if you're watching live, and I will, as best I can, if I see those come up, answer them or answer them at the end here. I'll pick another downstream channel just for fun, do 1511, and that's interesting. So I've got lots of up and down. Some of you guys that are cable experts may know what that would be, but it looks like we've got our total. I'm going to take total off and see what's going on here. So it looks like my SNR, let's talk about that quite often being the highest thing, and it looks like that is going up and down on a fairly regular basis. So not sure if what that is, maybe a standing wave or something like that would be causing that kind of thing. Got code word errors kind of going up and down, correctable and uncorrectable. And you can always, by the way, uncheck your correctables to get a better look at your uncorrectables if you needed to. In this case, it's pretty clear on the uncorrectables, and they are pretty high, but they're higher than the correctables here. So that's what that one looks like. And I was going to show you also on the CMTS screen. So again, we're looking at the customer screen. This would be what your call center rep might look at, or somebody who was wanting to look at the specific device and what's going on with this individual subscriber. You can always look at the CMTS as well and get these same kinds of port or channel labels that you can click in on. So anywhere again that you see these labels right here, I think when I do that, I should get the same charts. Yep, if I click on them there. And just for further troubleshooting, if you had a particular channel that you were looking at, like this 10.10.0, then in addition to looking at those charts, you can come here to the CMTS if you were somebody, let's say that this was escalated to, and you can open a report on any of these issues. If you wanted to see why, who the customers are that are having the SNR issues, you can click the total right here, and you can, again, the total for SNR and the total are pretty much the same because that's the majority of the users, but you can click on that right there. And now you're going to get a list of all the subscribers that are experiencing that particular problem. And you can sort by any of these. So I can sort by SNR, or if I wanted for some reason to go somewhere else, I could sort by those. But again, this is the person I think I was just looking at, happens to be at the top here. And again, a lot of these, they're just MAC addresses because we don't have a fake name for everyone, or an address for every one of the actual real cable modems that are on this cable plant. We just have some interspersed here and there, and as new modems have been added on this plant, we haven't bothered updating anything, but I'll just click one here. For example, it's another, got another address, fake address and name, and we can see what's going on there. And you've got your map here that you could see if there were nearby customers and they were having an issue, and you can always click in here on the map and take a look at those as well. Again, these are not really where these modems are, so on this particular demo, I can't really make any assumptions based on these modems being close by, because they really are not close by as far as we know. They're just placed on the map where we gave them fake addresses. So that would be it, I think, for showing you the port diagnostics. So again, you've got your upstream and downstream, and what we do on this particular panel here is try to give you an indication by looking at either one of these particular aggregated data in these panels right here, give you an indication as to whether this problem is isolated to this end user, or if there do seem to be some issues to a lot of the modems that are on this particular port or channel. And in this case, again, looking at it, it's not, but when I looked at it a little over an hour ago, we could see that we had some code word errors. We still have code word errors here, but we had some that were in the red, and they showed up in the red here on this customer. But in this case, this customer has some other issues that are in an alert or warning stage as well. So hopefully this was helpful for you, especially if you are a TruVision user. If it was, please, if you would, just give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Not on this particular screen, because that's not a real button there, but if you'll give us a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, hit the subscribe button, and ring the little bell, and you'll be notified when I'm live, which is every Tuesday at 3 o'clock. And then also anytime that we post a video, you'll be notified about that. So you can keep kind of on top of what we're doing here. Thanks again for joining me. I'll be here next week, and my special guest is going to be Chris Tucker from Nokia. And we are going to be talking about GPON next week, and specifically we're going to be talking about, I believe the topic is going to be, I should say GPON. I think it's going to be GPON versus XGS-PON, and kind of maybe making decisions about that. We'll firm that up. I think that's what's going to be what the topic is, but if that's of interest to you, go ahead and join us. I know if you are a cable operator, more cable operators are rolling out fiber maybe in greenfield areas, so that might be something that's of interest to you. And of course, if you're already a fiber provider or a telephone company, something like that, then that might be of interest. So be sure to join us next week, 3 o'clock. I'll be with Nokia, with Chris Tucker, and I will see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.